My name's Thomas Seidler. I'm a sinner. I do wrong things. I heard a preacher the other day, a pastor the other day, from the pulpit saying, people are bad. Not just people are bad. And then he named himself. He said, I am bad. He said, it's not just that I do bad things, I am bad. And he said it's deeply in our heart, in the heart of man. And although I grew up, in that sense, I'm spiritually needy still, and I'm confronted with that. I'm arrogant. I get proud, lustful. I get angry. I'm not saying this now. You see me all smiling. Maybe I've always looked gentle to you, but you asked my sister there afterwards about these things. They are reality. Adults learn to hide these things better than children do. Children are quite transparent. You can see it. We learn to hide it better, and that is what I am like. I know myself. God confronts me with myself. This last week I've been broken by what I'm like, and I just think I was just longing to be clean, just to be washed, have my sins blown away. I was cycling home thinking, if only my sins were just blown away and weren't so part of me as they are now. But I grew up in a very privileged, according to this world, I grew up in a very privileged environment and background. I was brought up in a nice family. I had two loving parents, and I count that as a great, great blessing. Looking back on it, I didn't realise how much of a blessing it was at the time, but it was. They cared for me. They were good to me. They also taught me about Jesus. They were kind of Christian people. My mother had been saved, I think, as a young lady, and had taught us about Jesus. And so I kind of grew up believing that Jesus was the Son of God. But I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't know anything about me being a sinner or having done wrong. And so I kind of just left that behind. And I grew up thinking, if I lost my pen, I'd ask God, God, please help me find my pen. And then God would, help me if I'd find my pen. And I'd think, oh, that's nice. And then forget about him. He'd go back in the locker for the next time I lost my pen. And of course, God's not like that. He's bigger than that. But I didn't realise that for many, many years. I remember really the first time I really realised how big God was. I was sitting down in front of the beach, and there were these ocean waves just rolling and rolling, these grey waves, and I was thinking, man, I think someone must have made these waves, and they're just like, I can't pick up 100 kilos, and this man is just rolling effortlessly and endlessly. And I just thought, there's a God of awesome power around somewhere. He made the sun, and he's causing all this to happen, and it just blew my mind. People were looking at me that day because I was just so blown by it. My feet were getting wet the tide was coming in, my feet were getting wet, and they were like, this guy's a bit cranky, because what's he doing here? But yeah, that very camp, in fact, it was a turning point in my life. It was a Christian camp. I thought there's something serious about Jesus, there's something serious about this Christian thing. I thought my friends were serious as well. They were all like kind of, we were all listening, we were all good sort of Christian church kids. And then the last night at the camp, they all planned on getting drunk. Suddenly all this alcohol appears, and I didn't know. I was like, what's going on here? I just knew that something was not compatible with real Christianity here when getting all this alcohol. And I didn't drink at all that night. I was so shocked by, hold it, these guys are serious about Christ, and yet they're getting really blind drunk, and I just couldn't understand it, and I was kind of disillusioned, disappointed that day, and I was again totally just on my own thinking, what's going on? All that night I remember thinking about it, and then I just decided basically, if my friends aren't up for Christianity, aren't up for Jesus Christ, then nor am I. I can't be bothered either, and I'll do the world. I'll try this world thing. I'll do the drinking thing, and that very summer holiday, my cousin had his 16th, and I got blind drunk. I decided I just went for it. My sister remembers I was rolling on the ground. I couldn't dance standing up, so I was rolling on the ground. But this is how it is. As I begin to describe my life in sin, I don't want to glorify it, but he said, I think Jesus describes it in the very best I've ever heard anyone describe it. He says, in Proverbs, the adulteress is a picture of Satan, and he says that her lips drip honey and her words are smoother than oil, but in the end they're as bitter as wormwood and as sharp as a two-edged sword. But it's only when you've digested his poison that you find out just how dangerous and damaging it is. So it began to be sweet. That night, although I made a fool of myself, I had no hangover at all the next morning, and I thought, man, this is incredible. I can have this amazing feeling, and there's no price to pay. Fortunately, these people weren't from my school, so I wasn't going to be shamed. I went to school. I went to school with the intention to start drinking a lot and to just experiment with this and really enjoy it, because it was so pleasurable. And I could £15 pocket money a week. That wasn't enough. I started buying. I was more desperate. I bought alcohol. I sold it to other kids, and then they started buying it, and then that way I got free alcohol. It was great. I could just drink all the time. Fine. I guess I'm about 16 now, and I spent the next year looking inside the toilet bowl quite a lot, vomiting, bile. I've seen green bile. As you know, if you get into alcohol, this is often what happens. You get very into it and vomit a lot. It's just easier than having a hangover or throwing up in the night by your bed, which I've done once also. It's not pleasant. It smells for weeks or months afterwards. So then that was my beginning sickness with alcohol. Initially got me into it, great time. Oh, go on Thomas, get into that. And then discovered the poison in that. And then a friend at an event called Prayers. My school has events called Prayers. And at this thing called Prayers, they read a book called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And it described these bats coming down out of the skies. And it's like, they had ether, and they were just having a great time, hallucinating cartoons everywhere. And I thought, man, this just sounds so fun. I want to do this. This sounds great. Ironically, a friend of mine who'd been in the drug scene 10 years, she read the same book and she was like, oh, that's just too much, you know, that's like what it is, I want to leave that, and she left drugs because of it. But for me, that was like a carrot, it just lured me straight into it, and all of a sudden I wanted to try all these drugs. My friends sort of introduced me to them, they started, gave me some weed, and again, the Satan gave me a wicked time, you know, the giggles. You know, smoking weed can be very fun, great fun initially. I had a great time. First time I used LSD, speed, I had a great time. And the same, I got used to using just any amount, just going for it, like with alcohol, and I used the same principle I was a bit of a geek at the time. Alcohol I could get because I was desperate, I'd just go off. But no one would sell me gear, so I wound up finding a dealer, and I'd go trekking off at night to get it, bring it in, sell it, and I wound up supplying the school from selling an ounce in a week, in a month. I had a kilo running through my room, 6 ounces of speed, 120 microdots, and you know, stuff like that. By the time I left, but I also, you know, so this is presenting the sweet as honey. People started respecting this. They started looking at this and go, oh yeah, we want that. I could order pizzas. By the time I was leaving, I went to my exams with 2 ounces of skunk in my pockets and 2 ounces of speed. I had pizzas delivered every day because I didn't want to eat lunch with the people down there. At this point, I begin to start talking about the darkness, because that all sounds quite nice, doesn't it? And it is. I think people envy and look up to any sort of lifestyle like that. It goes more extreme in many cases, but this was for me as a schoolboy. It was all right. I had lots of CDs, everything. The money just wasn't a problem, nor any drugs. I could do anything I wanted, smoke all day long. The pizza is a good illustration of how it had turned, because the reason I was buying pizza was not because I enjoyed it, it's because I couldn't stand the company, I couldn't stand being around people. It totally freaked me out to be around people. I couldn't walk along the pavement without looking at the ground. The idea of being in a lunch hall with everyone clattering and making noise and looking at me thinking, oh, he's stoned, he's that drug person, he's beginning to lose it, because by this point I started turning on my friends and shouting at them. You know, they come into my room and they'd have a joke together. I think they're laughing about me. I said, get out of my room, you know, shut up, and stuff like this. And you begin to think everyone's talking about you, and you can't handle it, and it's very painful. And therefore it was just much easier for me to retreat into my own room, my own company. I was talking about this with an old friend, and we were talking about how Satan brings you in on the glory, the friends, the companionship, and then yet he leaves you out. By the time he leaves you out right on your own, and that's just how he operates. He's so cruel in that way, and that's it. He's got a long view of your life, and if you're experiencing pleasure from Satan, you can just be guaranteed that his long-term view of your life is misery. That's where he wants you to be, and that's where he'll take you, because he's much stronger than you. He's much more dangerous than a man. Yeah. So I got done there by Satan, and I was in that place of pain. But in God's grace, 8 weeks after I went to uni, I was arrested on my return to my school. I was selling some gear, and I got arrested. And that was the beginning of a great turnaround for me. The police removed my drugs from me. They took 11 ounces off me and 40 grams of speed. And I couldn't believe it when they found my drugs. I wasn't carrying them all on me. I was only carrying little bits on me. But they searched my room and they found it all. And it was like the rug had been taken under my life. All my life, I've had such a privileged life. You know, like I said, I went to Eton College, very well educated according to the fashion of this world. And there it was. I'm suddenly like, my life's over. Someone described my life at the time, a Lord. He said, that's the end of his life.